Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Buttercupp at Home. Jennifer is not in this podcast because we're short one podcast mic. So she'll be my sidekick here soon again. And we have the awesome pleasure of being able to hang out with one of my wonderful friends and a friend that I leased from, Rodney Collier, who's an entrepreneur, him and his wife, Kim, in LeClaire, Iowa. Thanks for being on the podcast, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
It's exciting. I've just enjoyed. I mean, we're wired so much the same as entrepreneurs. It's just been neat to watch your guys' ambition as a couple. But what's really been so cool is to see your care and concern and love for LeClaire and wanting to add value. And that's such a big key thing with us in our business of how can we help people relax and enjoy life. And you guys do that day in and day out in LeClaire. So why don't you just do a little introduction of your businesses and just tell the story?
I'd love to. Thank you. Well, and it really started with what you said. You know, it's very ironic we're here because when we first met, I knew from 5-10 minutes into our conversation that I was hoping you would want to join us and come to LeClaire. Because we had so many, our chemistry was great. We always talk about chemistry. You talk about it in business. You talk about it with customers. And when the chemistry feels right, your intuition is most of the time correct.
Yeah.
And when we first met, we really wanted you to be a part of LeClaire.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, to you and Jennifer, thank you for joining us. Has it been 2 years yet? A year and a half? I mean, time goes so quick. Wow. Yeah. Time goes quickly. So thank you for that.
And how crazy. So quick little backstory. We walked into Grasshoppers, which is the big Victorian house in LeClaire, Iowa, which we'll put some pictures on the podcast here for you to see that Kim and Rodney own. And we walked in on our anniversary. We told the story of looking for space in LeClaire, and there they were just standing in the place that struck up that conversation. A week later, it was a done deal. So
yeah, it's amazing because at that time we had sold Grasshoppers after 20 plus years to Monica.
Yeah.
And so we just happened to be in there. And now we are there frequently because we lived upstairs at that time until here recently. But just us being there was a reason behind that. And here we are again today. But it's been a journey. It really has. I mean, Kim and I aren't getting any younger, but we came to LeClaire. My wife worked for Von Maur for a number of years after college. She always wanted to open up her first business. She was an entrepreneur. She wanted to open up her first business. I've been in medical sales my whole career. We were driving to Fulton, Illinois to see her father. We went through LeClaire, and there was this little shop, a tiny little space, 600 square foot for rent. You know, it was one of those things. We drove through LeClaire. Not much was going on in LeClaire at that time, and this would have been 1997. To date us a little bit. Yeah. And we saw the for rent sign. We stopped. We look in this little space, 30-year-olds looking in the window. And my wife said, this is it. This is where I want to be. So we had originally planned on opening the Golden Canary, just so you know, Golden Canary in Bettendorf, in a small little business there. And then things transpired, and I came up with, just so we're very clear, I am the one that came up with the name Grasshoppers.
Oh, there you go.
I get all the credit for that, and Kim knows that. But she wanted to open up a garden gift store, and Grasshoppers lent itself to a cute little critter, in the garden. We knew we could do a logo and all that stuff. So here we are, 2023, 26 years later, and we still have Grasshoppers as our guest houses. But the journey began back in 1997, as I said, when my wife wanted to open a business. She had lost her job at Von Maur. Mm-hmm. The timing was perfect. I was in medical sales, and we just knew that was right. So 1997, she was pregnant at that time with our first child, Parker, and we signed the document to rent that space in downtown LeClaire with very little retail businesses at that point.
Yeah.
But we had the vision. We could see what the river could offer, what I-80, 67. We just felt it was the right thing to do. So she jumped all in. We had a few things we opened the shop with on Tugfest weekend in 1997.
Nice.
And she hates this story, but it's an important part of our journey. And this is the one thing she always doesn't like me to talk about. But literally, that first 6 months to a year, there would be weeks at a time where there was no business.
Yeah.
No business. Very few people came in. Funny story, my mom's going to be 90, as I indicated here next week to you earlier. My mom would come in the summer to visit, and when Kim delivered Parker, my mom would help out at the shop when she was there for 2 or 3 months during the summer. And there'd be times she would tell us she sold some stuff, but she would tell me she actually bought it. My mom actually bought things from the shop.
That's awesome.
So, the point of that is we believed in that vision and the journey. The first year, there was times where it was slow. Kim doesn't like me saying she worked for pennies on the dollar per hour, but that's really the true case. But we held firm. We saw the vision. We knew what it could be, and things progressed slowly. But I got involved in the city, as much as I could. So did Kim on the chamber and different things that were going on. And we really had the opportunity across the street, catty corner from where we started, this beautiful Victorian home, 1870 John McCaffrey house, was up for sale. It didn't sell, a year and a half. It never sold. One day I caught the lady that owned it at the post office and asked her if she'd sell it again, would she sell it? We bought that. That was 2001. And we made the transition from a small 600 square storefront at catty corner to a 4,000 square foot Victorian home.
So what was the growth like between that 97 to 2001? Like when did you really start seeing like what LeClaire is today?
Yeah.
Really start to take traction?
Great question. Kim doesn't like me to give out numbers, but let's just put it this way. We've already indicated she was working for pennies on the hour, for the first year or two. Yeah. When we moved over across the street, her first year in sales went up 500%.
Oh,
so you can think, well, if he only sold 5,000, it wasn't, but it was significant.
Yeah.
So again, it was the people wanted to see the home. Mm-hmm. They were intrigued with the history of that home.
Yeah. And so McCaffrey, he was give that little tidbit there.
Yeah, the John McCaffrey,
captain?
Boat captain.
Boat captain.
He actually built it for his daughter for a wedding gift.
Oh, nice.
So it probably back in the day, it was one of the pristine, properties in LeClaire.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And it was needing some help, some rehab. And, we took that on. And as we started, though, in 2001 and opened it, the whole house was shop. Mm-hmm. The whole store was shop. So
upstairs, down, everything?
Everything.
Okay.
So business went up 500%, and literally from 2001 for the next 12 years, there was increased growth year over year. There was never, even in the COVID year, we held firm.
Yeah.
So that was the story around how Grasshoppers came to be. I also got on the City of LeClaire City Council to help, drive. I was kind of a rebel. They called me a rebel back in that day because I was wanting to acquire property through eminent domain, really drive furthering the tourism industry in downtown LeClaire because we had so many opportunities, so many empty properties with the river and the I-80. There was so much opportunity that Kim and I really had the vision of what we believe LeClaire could be.
Yeah.
And as you said, we love LeClaire, and as we go through this journey, we've tried to help do our part for the betterment of 26 years.
Yeah, and it seems like that driver, that's why vision is so important, that driver of 1997 of leasing that space, it's still the driver for you guys today.
It is.
It's you just see that track record of we're gonna add value and make this total destination spot.
Yep.
So you went from the store to Grasshoppers, and then when was the next step diversifying into the Airbnbs? Yeah.
So just to step back on that journey, there's one key part here. When Kim works really hard.
I can vouch for that, folks.
She's very hard.
Just like my wife, they go.
Go.
Amazing.
And we really
it's creative.
It is creative.
Yeah.
And, we never had employees. It was Kim working it 7 days a week, except Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Easter for 20 years.
Wow.
Her mother, Sam, who you met, obviously helped her. I did my part, but my wife worked that alone for 20 years.
Yeah.
That was her dedication. one thing we did, and this was my decision, we also lived in LeClaire at that time in a home, but we had 3 small children, and we had Parker in 98, Kate in 2000, and Logan in 2002. 3 boys, very active. So with Kim working 7 days a week, we didn't see her a lot during the work hours.
Yeah.
So we made a difficult, challenging. Today we look back and we could not have made a better choice, but we decided to sell our house and move upstairs of where Grasshoppers, the whole business was.
Yeah.
So we moved we really refined her business, and everything was downstairs and in the wine cellar. And we moved up to from 3,600 to 1,000 square feet.
Oh my gosh. I didn't realize that you guys went backwards with
big.
We had 3 kids in a 1,200 square foot house. Yeah.
So, and all 3 boys were in the same room.
Yeah.
So Kim didn't believe, and she'll tell you this, when we first moved there on Christmas Eve, that it was not the right choice.
Yeah.
Just didn't believe that at that time. And it was tough. That transition was tough. 3 boys in one small room in the back. But today she'd tell you that it's the best choice we ever made for multiple reasons. The boys were able to see a business, the family drive that business, what the mother put in, what she put into that, and we wouldn't have done it differently today.
Yeah.
But that was a part of the journey that transformed a little bit because we moved upstairs.
Yeah.
So Kim ran the business and we lived upstairs. She did that again from 2001 in that location until we sold it to Monica, and it's been 5 years now already, 2018. Wow, time goes fast. But during that time, I was on city council. LeClaire's seen its up and downs, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you there's been so many businesses that have come, and there's been so many businesses that have left. It has been a roller coaster. Grasshoppers is the oldest retail business in LeClaire still today.
Yeah.
It's now at 26 years
Neat.
from when it opened. But, we always wanted to do more. Raising the kids, it was challenging, because there's just so many activities. So jumping into other things besides the core business of what she did, and I worked full-time in medical sales. We always talked about things like, oh, that building's for sale, or we would love this to be in LeClaire. We never executed on those until 2014, when we drove by that property next to the bank, and Kim did not want to buy it. She'll be the first to say that as well. But we could see that as the Monarch was the name of it, the Monarch Bed and Breakfast, that it could be something. And so we jumped in and we opened that up in 2014 as our first Airbnb, Grasshoppers Guest House.
Yeah.
So we did that.
So it was Guest House 1.
Guest House 1.
Yeah.
Yep, that'd be Guest House 1 at that time.
Yeah. One thing I want to go back to with your kids all living in the same house, being entrepreneurs, looking at your kids today, you can just see the drive and the discipline that comes from being an entrepreneur and showing your kids what it means to be all in.
Yeah.
And I see that in our own kids, with our 3 kids. And that's such a key point, I think, that gets missed a lot with being an entrepreneur and chasing something, because when you model that drive and discipline and values, beyond just a business, that things are caught more than they're taught. And you've just seen that. I've seen that with your own kids, with our kids. And that's key. I think that's a key point for people that are wanting to be entrepreneurs and open up businesses, is that, 1, there's great sacrifice, but 2, there's great reward.
Yes.
With that too. And I think, you two have seen that time and time again.
Oh, for sure. We know the sacrifice, we know the risk, we know the reward.
Yep.
You've got to have the love, you got to have the vision, you got to be all in. All those things have to be there as the base for things to succeed. And things fail, for sure.
Totally.
It's going to happen. But the boys, I'm most proud. I don't say it enough, but Kim, still today, as we get older, she works her tail off every day.
Yeah. If
it's with the guest houses, if it's with the barn out back, she just doesn't stop. And I think the 3 boys know what kind of mother raised them, and what she sacrificed, and how hard she's worked to bring a woman-owned business, minority, women-owned business from where it was to where it was ended, and happened to sell it at the right time to the right person, and us move on to other things that we'll be talking here shortly on our journey.
Yeah.
So that was the first guest house. We did that actively for 3 years, 4 years, and it just did very well. It's been very booked very regularly. And then, again, as the kids were going to college and we became kind of empty nesters, then my mind goes like, what else can we do?
What year was that?
Boy, let's see. So we did the first guest house in 2014. It was open about 3 years. And I've also dabbled in purchasing properties at sheriff sales, homes, to flip, and a couple of them have done pretty well, which allowed us then to 2 years ago, to acquire our second guest house. Actually, our second guest house, that's not true. Our second guest house is right 2 doors down from Grasshoppers. We acquired that in 2018. So it became our second guest house. Really
and that
cute.
was based on, just from a business standpoint, that was based on purchasing other houses that were flipped, using that resources to reinvest into the next thing. So how key do you think it is, and that's a key point, of having a multiple step picture of where you want to go?
It's very important. And the second house that we purchased, we actually wanted to buy it because it was right next to where we lived.
Yeah.
We wanted to own that so we can kind of manage who was there. And the gal that lived there that we were really good friends with, she always was going to allow us to be the first person to buy it.
Oh, nice.
Now, when that happened, we weren't ready back in 15 or 16, and she sold it. We never thought we'd have that opportunity again, but as it has, we got the call from the gentleman that owned it one day out of the blue, like, hey, I think we're going to move on with some things and we're going to sell it. And Kim and I immediately really did very little negotiations, which is surprising for me, but we wanted it. We knew it could cash flow. We knew it was right next door to where we lived. We knew it fit into our portfolio. We knew it'd be a beautiful guest house right in downtown LeClaire.
Yeah.
Very close to all the activity that you could get to. So we purchased that about 6 years ago. It became Guest House 2, TOO on that one, TOO.
So there was the Grasshoppers Victorian house, the backyard, and 2.
Exactly.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
So, and at that time we still owned Grasshoppers. So A, we lived there. B, Kim ran her business. We had our beautiful lot, and then we had that guest house 2.
Yep.
So that's how our portfolio started to jump. And then I purchased a couple properties at sheriff's sale that we did well on, and I wanted to reinvest that money quickly.
Yep.
So 2 years ago, we purchased 2 properties. One would be now Guest House 3, one block up from where we live. And we purchased the old Rambo house, as it's called, which is just up the road.
Why is it called the Rambo house?
It was, the gentleman was that was his last name.
Oh, okay.
So it became that
nothing to do with Sylvester Stallone.
No, nothing to do. No, way before his time. It's also, all the properties you hear us talk about are in the 1800 builds.
Right.
They're all older homes that were built in 1860, 1870, 1880.
Which has always kind of been your guys' trajectory.
It has been, yeah.
Was that intentional, or do you think it's more just the area?
The area, and we love old things.
Yeah.
We love preservation. We do the best we can with the financial, things that we have, and we're able to the best of our ability. So we purchased that, and we actually did purchase it from Monica, who actually purchased Grasshoppers from Kim over, 5 years ago. So we opened up Guest House 3. We purchased the Rambo house and did some renovations to get it open for a commercial business. And then, so all those things were playing out. But during that time, because of another project that is one of we're most proud of, Route 67, which you're there, obviously.
ROOT.
ROOT.
Yes.
And there's a story behind that.
I love it. It's really important.
It's really important.
That's a really good one. Yeah.
So we sold Guest House 1. We made a financial decision to shuffle our portfolio. We sold it to Mike Wolf, American Picker Mike Wolf. So he took that asset on, and he's going to make it his own Airbnb.
Right.
But the old Ewalt appliance store across the street from the Rambo House, 2 blocks north on
Beautiful
Highway 67.
building.
Beautiful building. If you saw it, it didn't have any real changes to it or revitalization over 40 years.
Yeah.
And it was empty it was really been empty for a number of years with no real improvements. When it went up for sale, I looked at it and passed. And then when we bought the Rambo House, and it was committed by a commercial business, The Market, A Journey to Joy, that was over in Moline, I told Kim, I said, what do you think about that? And we looked at each other. We walked by it regularly with our dog, Poppy, and we just said, you know what? It wasn't even for sale. It was not for sale. But again, I made a call to the owner. I said, this has got to work out. It's going to take a lot of financial dollars to get this to where it needs to be. Bottom line is we worked something out with this gentleman, and we jumped in May of 22.
Yeah.
And
it
went
was
full
done like
force.
May 15th, 22.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
It was like so,
it
was
impressive.
It needed, impressive. Yeah.
It was a total gut with electrical, HVAC, roof, windows, everything.
Yeah.
We saved the floor. So we did everything we could to preserve it, to keep it showing its age, but bring it up to current commercial codes.
I can remember like Jennifer and I going out to LeClaire on dates and walking LeClaire and pressing our face up against that old building and going, man, this thing, somebody needs to do something with this, because you just peeked in. So then you're like, hey, Casey, would you come walk through this building? And it was just
you remember how it
so
looked.
Good. Yeah.
But if you didn't have the vision, you would pass.
It looked like
you would have passed.
Yeah.
90% of the people would tear it down.
Yep.
No question about it. So we didn't. We saw what we believed it could be. And as you know, and you jumped in right away because I wanted you to come down.
Yeah.
Made a lot of sense.
So, and at the time, if you didn't know, we were in Grasshoppers. So Monica owns business Grasshoppers, and there's the back section where we first moved Buttercupp candles into, and it was a shared space that we leased from Rodney and Kim. And then when the opportunity came up that they were doing the Route 67 and build out, that was our great conversation to move down to Cody Road.
Yeah. And so as you know, you jumped in, you saw the space. It has a really unique look, as we know, and as your customers know now. But I had all 4 of those spaces leased literally as we started. Within
a week. Yeah.
Of course, some of my tenants, not you, of course, were really on me to get it open. And it was such a large project, and getting the contractors to work and the supplies. It was a tremendous
supply
challenge.
chain issues were still COVID kind of being quote unquote out of the woods with COVID. Supply chain issues were just always a pain.
Yeah, it
roofing, back ordered.
Everything was a challenge, but we're so proud of that because, as you know, October 18th, 5 months later, it opened to a open house with all 4 businesses.
It's fantastic.
So, but Kim. The story behind that, in the space where Cody R's flower company is, underneath that is an old tree that was cut down.
Yeah, massive tree.
Massive tree. It was cut down, and the roots, you could see the roots everywhere. And everyone knows there was a tree under there. So, and Highway 67, Route 67 runs right by there. So Kim came up with root, but it really has a double meaning. I was really thinking the root because of the tree.
Yeah.
And it is Route 67, so that's where the root makes sense.
Yeah.
But the root for Kim is that we are rooted in LeClaire.
Totally.
For 26 years. We've raised our family. We've had businesses. Our love of LeClaire. So Kim came up with Root, ROOT 67.
I love it.
And that's how that name came up. And we're trying to brand that still. We are going to Buttercupp, and we're going to the Nest, and we're going to the clothing company and Cody Rose Flower, but we're going out to Route 67 to shop.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we wanted to brand that.
Totally.
Yeah. So that's how that came up. And now all 4 of you are All 4 businesses are succeeding, and that north side of town is just going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's neat to see what's coming. So is this a good time to talk about, to kind of close the podcast out by talking about this future project that's coming soon? And why don't you just, because this is great for people that, because right now there is limited space out in LeClaire, and that's going to be changing.
Yeah. So 2 things. There's 2 key points. I have pressed, pushed, prodded, been active, persistent, all the words you want to use in pushing the city to help facilitate bringing in businesses.
Yeah.
And that is through what they came up with quickly after I pushed them on Ewalt's Appliance, now Route 67, an urban revitalization agreement. And they added fill the storefront, fill the vacant land. And there are monies available from the city for that to occur.
Yep.
That's number 1. That will help drive these vacant lands or vacant buildings to make it happen.
Yeah.
We've been on the forefront of that, obviously. We got the first one with Route 67, that urban revitalization agreement, and fill the storefront. But we own the land, as you know, just north of Buttercupp to Silver Creek. And we're planning, and we're in the bidding phase right now of adding 5 commercial, 5 condo, 5-plex north of where Buttercupp is.
So upstairs condos, lower commercial space, which is going to be gorgeous.
It's going to be gorgeous. The view of the river, as you know, from our property behind the building is unbelievable. The city is going to do a bike trail, walking path right on that here in the phase 2 starting next March. So we've probably already got 3 condos spoken for today.
Nice.
I have multiple commercial businesses, and this is a good venue or avenue to facilitate. Call me.
Yeah.
If you want to come to LeClaire, be a part of it. We're going to have 5 commercial businesses available.
Yeah.
We expect to start that in June or July of this year, with a completion date of next year, which will coincide with the whole phase 2 of downtown. So that north spot is going to be fabulous.
Yeah. So those of you that are local, listening to this, the LeClaire, the wonderful sidewalks and the speakers that are outdoor that are piped in, that cuts off right now. And then as you continue to move north, move north, that's all getting expanded. And where LeClaire is going to be in the next 24 to 36 months is fantastic.
It's going to be a lot of work. There could be some, a little bit of pain as all this happens, but it's going to be well worth the finished product. And that north side is going to be, as you know how busy it is now.
Yeah.
It's just going to continue to grow, and we're going to continue to drive tourism and bring more people to LeClaire.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, it's
good
great
work.
Stuff. Thank you.
Good work, man.
Yeah.
So for people that want to reach out to you, is there an email or something that people can reach out to find you? Phone number if you're comfortable with that, or fire away.
Rodney Collier again. Any of you can call me at 563-289-5448. I would love to answer any questions. I can show you. Bottom line is the commercial spaces will be vanilla shells, so that you, the business, potential tenant, client, can come in and build that space out as you see fit for your business. I'm picky a little bit. I want those businesses to fit in with what's going on with the commercial district of downtown. So, come to me, but I am a little bit picky because we want it to fit in. We want it to drive tourism. We want you to be successful, but get in early. So if you are interested in talking, please give me a call. We can meet out there. We can go over the drawings. We can talk about what it looks like, and would love to chat with anyone who's interested in joining us.
Awesome. Thanks, my friend.
You're welcome. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Buttercupp at Home podcast, where we share what's going on in our home, the Quad Cities. And we just heard a great story of what's going on in LeClaire, Iowa. And so make sure you hop on our channel and like and subscribe and comment. We'd love to hear from you. Have a great week.